Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. I work for the Army Mini Microcomputer Division, Army Systems Command, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. As a system administrator, I was responsible for the Unisys computers running the Unix operating system. Our Unix boxes, those are the computers, were online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They had a full complement of modems, which enabled the transferring of data in and out, which also made them subject to hackers' attacks. But we wrote a firewall. Now, a firewall is a little piece of software that you write. And at that time, we had no Maccabees, we didn't have semantics, we didn't have anything else. Firewall resides on your hard drive. Anything that hides that's on your hard drive, which is attached, junk, to your motherboard. Sits right in there. Anything that's on a hard drive is susceptible to hackers. So, well, we wrote a firewall, and that stopped some unauthorized users from getting onto the system, but ran within the operating system on the hard drive. We really wanted something a little better, something that would ride above the motherboard. Enter the vendor, Secure, with a new approach to security. Their method was you incorporate another motherboard on top. Everything coming into the computer goes through the secure board onto your books, onto your computer. Anything coming out goes to the secure out to the universe or wherever it's going. And the concept seemed rather interesting. Carol and myself began testing to see if it lived up to its advertisements. After a week or so, Bernie, he was the boss guy, called me in. Is testing far enough along that you can give a formal briefing? Me? A briefing? Well, you see, I'm a true technocrat. It's me and the computer. People took a back seat. Leave me alone and change my straw once a week. I really don't like talking in front of people. Techies are all right, but then they are not people. So I asked, will it be suits, which is management, or will it be dungarees, technicians? And he said, dungarees was the answer. And I said, I can do that. Those in attendance would be coming from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Fort Lee, Virginia, Fort Marlin, New Jersey, and Tobyhanna, Army Depot, Pennsylvania, which is near Scranton. I told Danny, project leader, and Johnny, my cohort in crime and TDY trips for 11 years, that I was going to brief. They could not believe that I was going to do that. And I said, I've got to see what you are going to do, was their response. Well, in fact, several other people in the division got word that I was briefing. They would be there. So I began the process. In a formal briefing, you use overheads. I don't know if you know what overheads are anymore.
I got one in my office.
They are glass scenes that you write, you put them on the projector, and then they're projected onto a screen or onto the wall. So I started to prepare. And also, with any formal briefing, you always need a formal write-up. So I began my writing and my producing of the glass scenes, the overheads. Thus, I prepared my presentation. The big day came. I rented a tie and a sport coat for the vacation. All to Fort Belvoir, me and my entourage. They were my co-workers. Why were my co-workers so skeptical? Well, I was told, one, you tend to be sarcastic. You march to a different drummer. You tend not to grasp the seriousness of the situation. What? What? I walked into the room and uttered the appropriate Charlie Brown epithet. Oh my God. Oh boy. Let's see. You've got a third colonel. You've got majors. You've got captains. And I also had suits. Dark suits. White shirts. Dark ties. The techies that I knew were way in the back. So Danny came and said, do you want me to do this for you? I will do it. What's the worst that could happen? So there was one colonel there that I really worried about. He was the money man, the signer of our checks, the funder of all of our projects, the man from whom all good came. But hey, what I said, what's the worst that can happen? It would take a year to fire me. And then with all the counseling and promising that I would be a good boy, I might get retired. After the obligatory introduction from the colonel about what a great group we were and how we had tested U-Secure, it was my turn to get up and do my presentation. Well, the tape just fell. That's all right. My first slide.
I'm secure.
I'm secure.
I'm secure.
One or two people. Techie's in the bed. You got what's going on, you know. So then I said, now let's get my second slide. You're secure. Do I hear you?
You're secure.
You're
You're secure. What an adult audience. You're secure. A few more people responded. My next slide. We're all secure. Even the colonel responded. Okay, we're doing good. With.
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 You guys are never going to make it in the techie world.
In a foreign language, we could do better.
This slide, you secure.
You secure.
There was a crescendo of people hollering, you secure. The briefing went along the straight and narrow lines. They saw what the product could do. I did not get fired. Boss Bernie told me he wished he had been there. The techies loved it, and the colonel said, interesting approach. I learned two things from all of this. Number one, what a narrow rut we have gotten ourselves into. And number two, let's put a little humor into our briefings. That was my first and my last formal briefing ever. Madam Toastmaster!